Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today we'll be talking about a dark fantasy movie called The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. Spoilers ahead. The story begins with a noble family travelling together through the woods. However, all of them get stuck. Their father tries to protect them, but unfortunately, he's killed by a monster lurking in the woods. The monster starts attacking other family members. The monster is called the Leshen. The kids run away but suddenly bumps into Vesemir, a witcher. Vesemir doesn't seem to be afraid of the monster. He starts walking towards it, which leads to a stare down between them. They prepare for a fight and the monster strikes first. They exchange blows and Vesemir masterfully uses his sword. After some time of fighting, he jumps on a tree and consumes a potion. Then both jump towards each other for one final blow, but Vesemir manages to kill him. However, before dying, the Leshen says something to Vesemir, which leads Vesemir to believe that it was sent by someone or controlled by someone. We see a woman named Tetra who's convinced the king that all the recent monster attacks are just part of a conspiracy led by the witches. They're launching these monsters upon people just so they can have a source of income, since not many monsters exist anymore. However, Lady Zerbst, who's sympathetic to the witches and their cause, opposes her. She says that there's no proof of what she's saying and mocks her. Hence the king also decides in favour of the witches and decides to let them do their work until Tetra brings solid proof of this conspiracy. On the other hand, Vesemir asks his friend Filavandrel about what the monster said. He translates it to "Beware the den of my dead." He then asks Vesemir if he felt something weird or unusual, and he says that he did feel it, as if some sort of magic was controlling the monster. The elf reveals that many elven girls have been disappearing, so he thinks there might be a connection between the disappearance and these mind control Leshens. He asks Vesemir for help, but he disagrees, which makes him a little annoyed and angry, so he leaves. After he leaves, Vesemir is left alone and starts remembering his childhood. He used to work for a noble family. Once the mistress fell ill suddenly, so his father sent him to the market. Vesemir is travelling with the donkey and Ilyana suddenly throws a snowball at him. They greet each other and start talking. After some time, Vesemir suggests they should buy a cake instead with the money his father gave him for the mistress's herbs. They go to the market and successfully manage to steal the herb. However, they're caught by a tall and scary man. He's a witcher named Deglan, and he confronts them. He asks to be taken to their mistress, or he'll hand them over to the merchant they stole from, so they do as he says. Upon reaching there, Deglan deduces that the woman was possessed by a monster called Mar. He asks everyone else to leave the room. However, Deglan also suggests that the boy should stay there. When the room's empty, he throws a bag at Vesemir, tasking him with catching the monster. Deglan starts exorcising the monster, which makes Vesemir scared. While the monster leaves the mistress's body, it attacks Vesemir and then tries to run away. However, Vesemir runs after the monster, who suddenly transforms into Ilyana and then tries to jump out of the window after escaping Vesemir. As soon as it reaches the window, Deglan throws a knife at it, which pierces through its body and eventually kills it. Before leaving, he gave a share of his payment to the young Vesemir. The amount of money made by the Witcher amazes him. Getting impressed by all the wealth, Vesemir asks the Witcher to take him with him. Deglan eventually offers him to come with him, and Vesemir, taking up the offer, goes to Kaer Morhen, and after years of brutal training and body-altering experiments, becomes a successful Witcher, notorious for his blade as well as his cockiness. In the present, Vesemir visits the castle at Kaer Morhen. He meets one of his friends named Luca. Afterwards, Vesemir reads the letter, which says that witches are only meant for violence and they're all dishonest. Vesemir meets Deglan, who's now old and has seemingly lost one of his eyes. He asks Vesemir about the Leshen he fought, and Vesemir tells him some details. Then Vesemir reluctantly oversees the training of a young Geralt, Cohen, Lambert and Ezekiel. The kids are quite angry because their training is very tough. While the kids complaining, Vesemir starts attacking them and tells them that there are no breaks in the real world. If you want a chance to survive this world, they should train properly, and if not, then this isn't the right place for them. Back in the past, we see Luca as a kid. He says the same words which Vesemir said, indicating that it's a common speech that the trainers use. After that, they go to sleep. When they wake up, they find themselves in a swamp. As more of them wake up, they realize they're being chased by monsters. Some of the kids are killed by these monsters. Some of these monsters start chasing Vesemir. He decides to run away. However, he falls off a cliff and wakes up on a bed. After waking up, he meets Raedric, a mage who creates witches. Soon Deglan walks in and informs Vesemir that there's a letter for him. It was sent by his friend Ilyana. The letter informs Vesemir that the village was overtaken by another family and his father was killed during the whole process. Then we see a montage of how these young boys are trained to be a witcher. They must face harsh training. Not everyone survives this training, but Vesemir manages to succeed and becomes one of the most talented witchers. Back in the present, Vesemir and Luca are having a drink in the bar. Suddenly, a knight walks up to them and starts criticizing them. He says that witches are quite useless now. All they do is scare and overcharge the people. The knight's behavior prompts Luca to get up and make fun of him. All of them fight, and the results don't favor these knights as Luca and Vesemir manage to kill them. Vesemir and Luca are imprisoned due to this. On the other hand, Dethra implores the king to execute the imprisoned witches, but Lady Zerbst persuades the king to instead send Vesemir along with Dethra to the forest to rid the place of the spell. After some time, Vesemir is taken from his cell and thrown into another room. He meets Lady Zerbst, who's an older Ileana. She tells him that she got married to Lord Zerbst, whose family took over their city. However, he's passed away since then. She tries to talk him into a mission. She wants him to go to the forest and take care of the monsters who are disturbing the people. She adds that Vesemir will be joined by another ally. This ally is none other than Dethra. As they walk in the forest, they realize they're surrounded by an illusion that's hiding the reality of the forest. Dethra uses her magic to dismiss the illusion and finds herself on the edge of a cliff. Venturing into the forest, Vesemir and Dethra meet a female hybrid humanoid named Kitsu, who sends a basilisk after the two. Vesemir successfully slays the monster. Kitsu grieves on the body of this slain basilisk. Suddenly, snow starts sliding downwards and Kitsu finds the perfect opportunity to run away. As they're distracted, she transforms into a fox and then runs away. Vesemir tries to catch her by throwing a knife at her, but it's too late to catch Kitsu, who flees further into the forest. However, when Kitsu escapes, it's revealed to them that even the whole snowslide was an illusion. Afterwards, the pair come across an old and abandoned elven school where they find the bodies of numerous female elves. They also spot Filavandrel tied up inside. They free him and he explains that the monster is a mutated elven girl. She's also behind the kidnappings of missing elf girls. She tried to mutate them as well. Moreover, after investigating, they also figure out that these girls are mutated in the same way witches are. Only the witches at Kaer Morhen know how to use this technique. The elf girl gets angry and puts all the blame on Vesemir. Amidst their argument, a mutated elven girl shows up who's still alive. Dethra aims her bow at her and shoots an arrow upon seeing her. However, the elf stops the arrow and decides to take the girl into its care. After leaving the hideout, Dethra uses her spell to destroy the place, while Vesemir rides towards Kaer Morhen to confront his mentor and master witcher Deglan. He also stops by Ileana's castle to tell her everything. On the other hand, Dethra finds Kitsu and confronts her. She puts all the blame on the witches and lures her to her side. It's also revealed that Dethra has managed to convince the king that witches are breeding monsters for their personal gain, which leads to the beheading of Luca. Vesemir reaches Kaer Morhen and destroys the door of their laboratory. Here he finds numerous vats of the same chemical that they found in the monster's hideout. Upon inspecting further, a monster jumps at him and he kills it. He realizes that the myths were true and witches were in fact breeding monsters for their personal gain. Suddenly, Deglan walks in and admits to creating the monsters as, according to him, the witch's work was slowly diminishing due to a lack of monsters. Vesemir gets angry and tries to refute his idea. However, Deglan seems unapologetic and tells him that Kitsu was also his creation. Vesemir says that he'll burn the place down and the two engage in a sword fight. While they're fighting, a man announces that they have a visitor. It's none other than Ileana. She came to warn them about Dethra. The witches gather on the roof and see that there's a huge mob ready to attack them. It's led by Dethra. Deglan orders the mages to seal themselves in the lab and decides to fight Dethra and her army. Vesemir finally kisses Ileana before heading towards the battle. Deglan and Vesemir come face to face with Dethra and they confront each other. Dethra reveals her true powers now. She's shown to be working alongside Kitsu to control the humans and a large horde of monsters. As the monsters and townsfolk attack the witches, Vesemir takes command and retaliates. They all attack at Vesemir's command and manage to kill some of the monsters. Although they put up a good fight, most of the witches are massacred due to the sheer number of monsters and humans. Deglan, seeing the folly of his actions, tries to hold off the horde while Vesemir enters the building to kill Dethra. Dethra has taken Ryderick and the other mages as hostages. Ileana tries to confront her, and while they're talking, Vesemir jumps in through the roof and confronts Dethra. He threatens Dethra that he can kill her in an instant. However, as soon as he says that, Kitsu arrives and plunges Vesemir into an illusion where he married Ileana and had a child. Vesemir realizes that it's all an illusion and manages to snap out of it. Then he goes up against Dethra and furiously fights her. Despite all her efforts, Vesemir overpowers her and beheads her. Then he also stabs Kitsu. As soon as he's done, the illusion eventually fades away. The person he beheaded is Ryderick, and the person he stabbed is Ileana. While he's in shock, Deathright attacks Vesemir from behind, revealing that she saw a Witcher murder her mother in cold blood when she was younger, explaining her hatred for witches. Before she can deal the final blow, Deathright is killed by Deglan, who is half dead himself. Vesemir quickly picks up Ilyana and asks Deglan about the others. Deglan reveals that they're all dead. Deglan then asks Vesemir to find the children and make them into better men before succumbing to his wounds. Vesemir gets up with Ilyana in his hands. He sees a fox as he's walking outside, indicating that it's Kitsu, and stops for a moment to kill her. However, Ilyana tells him that it isn't her fault and she never asked for this life, so Vesemir forgives her. He takes Ilyana to a lake, a wish she'd confided to Vesemir when they were young. The two share a moment together before Ilyana passes away peacefully in his arms. On the other hand, all the Witcher children walk in the woods, and they suddenly see Vesemir approaching them. He throws them their Witcher medallions and asks them to choose to become Witchers or walk away. Our boy Geralt states that everyone hates them, at which Vesemir smirks and replies, "There'll always be more monsters, Geralt." The boys contemplate Vesemir's words before picking up their medallions. Thank you for watching this video, make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.